2 liters of water a day can increase productivity by up to 30%. So I
Oh,
just thought,
goodness.
oh my, I mean, I knew it was good, but not that good.
That is incredible.
And I mean, water is free, it's very easy, it's very accessible, and I think that feels like a very small bit of effort for a big gain.
Think about where everything that we do comes from. It comes from our brain. All the functions of our body, all our systems are controlled by our brain. And if the brain doesn't function right, then everything slows down. So we've got with us the lovely Natalia Ramsden. She is a business psychologist and she specializes in cognitive performance and brain optimization. And she's the founder of Sophos Associates. Now, that's the UK's first brain optimization clinic. Tell me, I mean, we've been talking in the last week, I've looked a lot more into brain optimization, and we're talking so much. I mean, this is sort of the buzzword is the brain at the moment in the last, whether it's, mental illness or whether it's mental enhancements. So tell us, what is brain optimization?
Sure. And this is, probably my most favorite topic. And I've been talking about brain for a while now. I mean, it's really this piece, and as with every other aspect of our existence, this idea of getting the brain to work as well as it can possibly work. So in the same way that you might exercise and optimize your fitness, it's the same sort of piece around the brain. And it really comes from this understanding that the brain changes. It's not static. It doesn't kind of get to a certain point in development and stay still the way that we used to, but actually it continues to change over the course of one's life. And so there are a number of things that individuals can do with or without the help of a clinician to really optimize its processes, to get it working as fast as possible, as accurate as possible, as efficiently as possible. And that's really what Sophos kind of came together to do, to look at ways that we could boost intelligence by getting the brain to work as effectively as possible, in essence, for it to be optimized.
Okay, that is fabulous. And tell me, you're saying that the brain doesn't stay stable, right? That we can optimize, just like you can optimize the body, you can optimize the brain. So tell me, what processes and treatments go into trying to optimize the brain?
Sure. And I mean, obviously not sort of loads of background, but just in terms of the timeline scientifically, it's a relatively new understanding that the brain changes. We didn't really think, certainly as a psychological community, that wasn't what we thought. We thought you kind of got what you were given intelligence wise, and you just sort of learned to live that way. And we've discovered that through, sadly, kind of, I guess, rehabilitation ways, injury, a number of different avenues. And a lot of what we use in the enhancement area has taken its origins from there. It was originally developed, to help people who were experiencing either cognitive decline or various conditions, Alzheimer's, dementia. And there aren't really, I guess, one or two main treatments because there's just so much happening. They're coming at pace. The development is phenomenal how quickly things are being developed, but there are definitely a number of different things, and I can sort of mention a few and certainly ones that we use. So Sophos is a multidisciplinary approach, so we're interested in anything and everything that impacts the brain. So we're looking at physiologically what's happening, psychologically what's in your environment, and we call on applications for that. So anything from how are you eating? What are you putting into your body, and what impact does that have on your brain? How much are you drinking? Hydration, or drinking things. How much alcohol are you taking in? How much exercise do you get? What's the impact of stress? All the way through to some very cutting edge innovations. So brainwave training applications where we do some incredible things around training people's brainwaves.
Wow.
Yeah, some really remarkable things. Oxygen therapy, some great research coming out to show the enhancement effects that hyperbaric oxygen therapy chambers have. And so it's wonderful. It's wonderful that these things, that people are learning about them, that that people are getting out and talking about them, and also that they're no longer reserved to just a rehabilitatory sort of population, which, you know, of course we want them available there, but people are starting to look at, well, actually, you know, how can I use this for an enhancement effect? How can I, you know, if I don't have Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
how do I either prevent or prolong or optimize when I'm perfectly healthy? You know, we don't need to wait until something goes wrong before we try to get the best out of ourselves.
And tell me a bit about brainwave training. That sounds fascinating.
Sure, sure. So, and there, you know, there are various different types of neurotherapy. You know, one that has particularly sort of lots of kind of research papers and good results is something called neurofeedback. It was originally used a lot for conditions like ADD, ADHD, and as I said, you know, sort of people started to pivot and see that actually what happens when people are, you know, don't have those experience, you know, don't have those conditions, do we get an enhancement effect? And the answer is, you know, of course, to different extents, but yes. You know, it's very cool. You sort of sit on with a cap, and there's these electrodes that are measuring your brain activity in real time, and we're able to train brain waves through an operant conditioning model. So you have a screen in front of you, and it's giving you real time feedback, and through that model, you're able to reinforce essentially what you want the brain waves to do. You know, it's quite a remarkable thing. And then paired with other interventions, you can see how it kind of all comes together.
Now, tell me something, Natalia. So we've got, you know, like you mentioned too, you mentioned brainwave training, hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I'm sure there are loads of others. But for a lot of us laymen, you know, we're thinking, they're showing us all this. How do we know it works? Do we have scientific proof that it works?
And look, I think it's such a good question because there is just so much content. You know, if you put into Google after this, you know, how do I increase my intelligence, you will just be
Right.
completely inundated. And the truth is, you know, some of it is very good, some of it sadly not so much. So, you know, and I suppose that's where people in my discipline or clinics like Sophos really come into their own. I mean, we have a clinical team, and what they're able to do is create very, very customized, tailored programs for individuals based on them, based on their results, what's happening in their specific brain. And all of that is empirically backed. Let's take meditation, for example. You know, I don't need to run those research studies. You know, they exist. They've been out for quite some time. Numerous studies that show how effective meditation is to the brain. You know, likewise with cardiovascular exercise. Again, I personally don't need to run those. There are very credible researchers who have done that. And so for us, and I can only talk about our practice, everything that we pull together, everything that is curated in our enhancement programs goes through a very rigorous process and research stage so that we make sure it is scientifically backed, and it's also coming from very credible research facilities. You know, and you're always going to have this trade-off, aren't you? There is some stuff that's very new. The application of hyperbaric oxygen therapy in a healthy population is relatively new compared to something like exercise. So yes, there's scientific papers and they're very promising and they're very good, but you know, there isn't going to be as many as something that's been around for, you know, 100, 200, 300 years. So, you know, you've got to sort of balance that trade-off with something being hugely innovative and cutting edge, and you know, having that kind of appeal. You know, it's not going to have the same longitudinal data as something else.
A lot of times what happens is there's all these new therapies and some of them are very effective, but we need to give people sort of, you know, when we present it to them, we like people to have some sort of proof.
You know, I know for our clients, for example, we give them a research guide. You know, we give them what is you know, sort of put together a whole research guide that references all the papers, that talks through, you know, why we've chosen each therapy that we've chosen for them specifically. I mean, because we've got their brain maps in front of us, we've got their heart rate data, their nutritional data, so we can sort of demonstrate that. You know, it's our responsibility to know that. You know, clients will see something, I don't know, in the Guardian on a weekend and sort of email through and say, look, you know, this says I should be eating blueberries. What do you think? And we need to have an answer to that. You need to say, you know, yes, it's true, no, it's not, or we don't know, and this is why. because there is so much. There's brain training apps and games, and some of it is fantastic, as I said, and some, is still in development.
There's so much progress in technology, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give us an idea where you use technology? How
Sure.
does technology help in increasing intelligence?
Of course. And this is really what, I guess, really helped Sophos kind of get on its way. I mean, I think we came to be because of what was happening in sort of cognitive field. And I think that crossed with personalized healthcare. And I know this is a topic that we're both very passionately about. And then the sort of rise of health tech. So things like a QEEG is where you measure the brain's electrical activity in real time and gives us an indication of kind of what's happening. That has opened up massive worlds for us. That sort of technology was once reserved for hospitals, for university, kind of labs in science departments in universities. And whilst it's not in everyday homes just yet, it is more readily available to us. And that technology has meant that we can create these sorts of programs. We can measure in a much more finite way than we were ever able to. On the development side, we have technology to help enhance practice. The Muse headband, which people find is hugely, really enhances their meditation practice.
Tell me about it. I don't know about it.
It's it sort of sits like a kind of headband across your forehead, and it provides you feedback in real time as you meditate. So it's measuring a brainwave. You're trying to get into a flow state, and as you succeed in that state, you get kind of nice soft music. And I think mine is a bird chirping. And as you kind of, if anyone who's tried to meditate, you sort of lose track and your mind wanders, then it gives you an alarm to sort of tell you that you've done that and help you kind of train to bring your mind.
Oh my God.
It's a phenomenal piece of equipment. It's something very easy, you use at home, but it's those little bits of tech that really help enhance people's practice in whatever that is. Your Apple Watch that's collecting data and telling you to do certain things, various types of, there's a lot of headgear at the moment that's kind of, quite interested in measuring brainwaves. So that's a kind of, I suppose, a very nice example of how tech has really opened this world up and really helped people get the most and sort of optimize their performance.
So, see, what confuses me about about all these things is at the end of the day, then you're constantly, like the Apple Watch, you're constantly putting a piece of technology on you. Constantly. It's not like you've done it for a while and taken it off. So you've constantly got Wi-Fi on you. Or whatever, all the time. So I'm just a little bit confused about whether, I know that helps to measure things.
And the truth is, I really wouldn't be able to comment on the long-term effects of an Apple Watch. You're absolutely right. You've got something that's running skin to skin, all day and all night, arguably. Something like the Muse, is put on for 15 minutes and then you take it off and that's it. And maybe there is some adverse effects, but I suspect the positive effects that you get from the enhanced meditation practice are likely to well outweigh, and it's just different things. I mean, there's various kind of tech pieces that work for some people that don't work for others. I mean, I love the Muse personally because it acts as a kind of reminder to do my meditation, which sometimes, kind of feels like it falls to the bottom of the list, truth be told. I guess the point is that the tech world has allowed us to see the brain in a way that we could just never see it before. Think about medicine as a whole. Psychiatry and psychology were one of the only disciplines that were focused on an organ that they never see. Whatever it is, an optician, you see the eye, but as a psychiatrist, as a psychologist, you never see that organ. And so this tech has brought us a little closer to it.
Yes, that's very true. Now, tell me, like you're talking about the Muse headband, which is something you can use at home. Can you give us some tools or techniques that we can use at home to increase our intelligence or for brain optimization?
I mean, this is the most boring one, but honestly, good quality sleep is just undeniably good. I just don't know how else to put it. I mean, we see it automatically in people's brain maps in every aspect of their health, their well-being, their mood. It's not just about sleeping enough, but having good quality sleep. There's nothing quite like it in the world. So my sort of philosophy with that is, you're either out having the best time of your life, or or sort of asleep by 9:30, 10 o'clock. So that, I mean, look, and that's something that people probably know about but don't really realize. And I think once you get into a habit of good quality sleep, you can feel that difference straight away. You feel that the next day, the next week, the next month. That's a huge one. Meditation, again, I think people feel the effects of that really quickly. I mean, I've read studies where they've had control groups and research groups, and 8 weeks of meditation, and they have seen hippocampal volume increase. So the part of your brain that's involved in learning and memory, they've seen in just 8 weeks people who meditate every day have increased that in volume.
So you talk about meditation takes 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. Would you say there is a particular period of time that you need to give it, whatever treatment it is that you're going for, to try and increase brain optimization?
I think it really depends. I think something like neurofeedback, people will feel the difference within a week, within 2 weeks. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy, I've heard people come out of the chamber and feel very alert and sort of kind of that very afternoon. Nutrition has a huge play, and again, that's something that can be corrected and optimized very quickly. But it really depends on you as an individual and where your baseline is, where you're starting from. We have clients that come to us that are pretty healthy and have good life practices, and they make improvements, but the times vary. And then we have some who don't sleep very well, are always jet lag, drink a lot of alcohol, don't have a healthy diet, don't exercise. And so they feel different effects in a different sort of period of time. So it just depends on you and your individual makeup.
I wanted to ask you, do you have any advice for the people listening in?
I mean, I have, I guess, 2 comments. I mean, I think the first is, the knowing that you as an individual can change your brain. For me, that is the most empowering, I don't know, piece of information, if you will.
Absolutely.
There are things that you can do within your life to literally change the structure of your brain. So I think that is incredible. I guess as a little hack to walk away with, I read a paper on hydration, of sort of what water does to the brain, and I was amazed to read that it was something like 2 liters of water a day can increase productivity by up to 30%. So I just thought,
goodness.
Oh my! I mean, I knew it was good, but not that good.
That is incredible.
So that would be my take home. I mean, water is free. It's very easy. It's very accessible, and I think that feels like a very small bit of effort for a big gain.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Natalia, for a lovely chat. Thank you for listening to this chat. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to this page. Please subscribe to our podcast on Apple and Spotify, Wellness Curated, and follow us on Instagram, Wellness Curated, the number 1. Thank you.